Hello and welcome to a special feature on Media Dialogues with Storyboard18, where creativity meets commerce and bold ideas power the future. I'm Delshad Irani, and today we are bringing you exclusive insights and takeaways from one of the most impactful gatherings on the global marketing and creativity calendar, the Storyboard18 Global Pioneers Summit. Held at the intersection of innovation, imagination, and industry, the summit was a powerful celebration of pioneers who are redefining the role of creativity in business. It brought together an extraordinary constellation of global and Indian leaders, visionaries alongside disruptive founders, marketing trailblazers, and tech changemakers, all converging on one stage to exchange ideas, share stories, and inspire a new wave of innovation. Across keynotes, fireside chats, and power panels, the conversations focused on how creativity is no longer a nice-to-have, but a core business strategy, a force to solve real-world problems, spark growth, and build meaningful connections with consumers and communities alike. Watch this first dialogue in a series of special episodes. Whether you're a marketer, a business leader, or simply a curious mind hungry for what's next, stay with us as we take you inside the big moments, the bold ideas, and breakthrough perspectives that define the Global Pioneers Summit 2025, only on Storyboard 18. Hello and good morning, everyone. Good morning, Hina. It's such a pleasure to have you here, especially after I heard that this could be your last speaking engagement in India before you're off.
I mean, wonderful to be here, I think, in this room of such accomplished leaders. And Delshad, a pleasure to be able to speak to you before I head out a couple of weeks later.
And congratulations, of course, on your new role. It is fantastic. Again, you're off to the UK, to lead the Africa business as president. In all my conversations with you, Hina, of course, the one thing that has really come out is that you've been able to really push some boundaries. You have, of course, broken the glass ceilings. Tell me, this journey of yours, leading the India market, and now you're headed to lead the Africa business based in the UK. What were some of the key lessons along the way that you've gathered that you're taking with you now?
Delshad, there's been a lot of learning through my career, so I can't say it's just from this last job. I mean, I've had I'm grateful for the opportunity to be able to work in very different industries. I've worked in paints, I've worked in cosmetics, now Alcobev, Nestle. I was just talking to Suresh. I mean, my first job was Nestle baby food. So, and, across geographies, right? So Malaysia, Singapore, China, Africa. And I think the first lesson for me is leading with purpose really works, right? And I think that has been sort of our win-win formula. I think leading with purpose creates a triple win for consumers, customers, for communities, and for the business. And that, I think, is a lesson I will carry with me, till as long as I'm working. I think the other one is, yes, pushing boundaries and, pushing the envelope. I was talking to a lovely lady from Nestle, and she said, I know you are pushing the envelope. I think you discover dimensions to yourself, and the team discovers dimensions that they never thought existed, right? The third lesson for me really is about, it's not important how much you climb the corporate ladder. It is about how many people you're taking with you. And if people can see work as a legacy, I think you get spectacular results, right? And last but not the least, I would say that I think it's very important to celebrate every day. I think this is the philosophy of Diageo, celebrating life every day, everywhere. And I think it's very important to celebrate small wins, right, and inspire yourself to do more every single day. Right?
And that in turn inspires others, of course. Speaking about transformative journeys, let's zoom out and talk about India. Of course, we are on this journey toward Viksit Bharat. Yeah. If you could sum up, Hina, for me, what are the key pillars that will define this evolution for us?
I mean, I think we heard that, right? So I think India is on a historic transformation to Viksit Bharat. And I think, we heard in the opening address, the digital advancements, the infrastructure expansion, innovation that's happening, the thriving entrepreneurial ecosystem. I think this is all going to lead us to become a global powerhouse. We are on a decisive path to that by 2047. And this is not just about economic progress. This is really about a more sustainable, inclusive, and innovative future for us, right? There are so many ways that we as corporate leaders and business leaders can contribute and actually help shape this journey, right? If you look at the economic growth path, right? Investments in Make in India. This is something that we are focusing quite a bit on. I think it's been the focus for corporate sector for quite some time. And the more we invest in domestic production, in R&D, in supply chain logistics, the more we are able to become a globally competitive player, high quality jobs and economic resilience. Right? If you look at innovation, I think we heard a lot about innovation. Corporate investments in R&D, in advanced technologies, right? I think public-private partnerships, right, with academia, government, and corporate can really lead to these disruptive and breakthrough solutions, right? The other thing that I personally am very passionate about is inclusive growth, right? So, I mean, we know that there is an untapped workforce, a large untapped workforce, whether it's women, people with, persons with disabilities, et cetera. And the more we can engage, right, with, through partnerships in bringing these untapped resources into the workforce, I think is going to be quite important. And the last one I do want to talk about is, I think, the pillar of sustainability. Right? Climate change is, I mean, I'm sure all of you are experiencing this. It's become a daily conversation for all of us. I mean, all of us talk about how hot it's become, how cold it's become, how much rain we are having, et cetera, on a daily basis. Unexpected. And it is reality. It's not, a tick-in-the-box exercise. It's an imperative, right? So us focusing on really talking about how do we do water stewardship? How do we move to a low-carbon world? How do we look at waste management? I think these are going to be the pillars that will help us drive the economic growth that we want to.
And that is how you align Diageo's vision, of course, to the vision of Viksit Bharat.
Absolutely. I think we are a committed partner to Viksit Bharat. We are absolutely aligned to responsible growth. I mean, if you look at the Viksit Bharat priorities, we are looking at all these priorities. We are looking at, Make in India agenda. We have more than $3.5 billion invested in over 35 manufacturing facilities in the country. And, we are investing in quality. Our brands, I won't name them, but, our Indian-made brands, right, are demonstration of this commitment, I would say, right? We export them to more than 35 countries in the world. Our artisanal Indian single malt is the most awarded global single malt last year, and it's exported now to several countries, including Australia, New Zealand, UK, US. So this is, showcasing the best of India to the world, right? We are very committed to creating jobs. We have created more than 1 million jobs and about 375,000 jobs in the hospitality sector, indirectly. We are a huge contributor to the state and national exchequer, federal exchequer. Last year alone, we have, in taxes and levies, sort of contributed more than $2.5 billion, right? If we look at our sustainability agenda, we are working on water stewardship. I think our ESG ratings as a company are, on parity, if not more, versus industry. Our Alwar distillery is the only distillery in Asia Pacific that is certified by the Alliance for Water Stewardship. We have replenished more than 1 cubic meters of water, 3 years ahead of our goals. Right. And we focus on a lot of community impact for empowering, the underrepresented communities. We have, a partnership with the Skill Council for persons with disabilities. And, these people are being taught hospitality skills. 50% of the beneficiaries of these programs are women. And they are getting absorbed by the best names in hospitality in terms of employment opportunities. So we are extremely committed, and I think we are very much on a path to support the Viksit Bharat that our Prime Minister and government is envisaging.
Right. I'm just going to sort of draw on a couple of things that you said, Hina, especially on diversity, equity, and inclusion. You've, of course, been a very strong advocate of that from the very start. We are, however, seeing a bit of a backtracking on some of those goals at companies globally. How do you, within this scenario then, Hina, how do you kind of stay the course, and how do you make sure your employees and your other leaders are, of course, staying that course? How do you drown out the negative noise around DEI right now?
Dilshad, for us, I mean, diversity and inclusion is embedded in our strategy, and it is embedded in our philosophy of celebrating life every day, everywhere. Right? So irrespective of the noise that we see, I mean, at Diageo, we are fully committed to this. And I'll tell you that here are some of the things that have worked for us, right? I think the first thing is about having the commitment from the top. So leadership commitment and goals that are, rigorously monitored. Right? And we do embed these goals into our leadership accountability. So our leadership has goals, and they are measured by this at the end of the year. I think the second thing that has worked for us is that we have absolutely rejigged our processes to be able to actually hire, retain, and develop diverse talent, right? And for us, this is not a moral imperative, right? I think it is a business imperative. Right? It is about having your consumer group represented within your organization. It brings creativity, it brings perspective. So our processes have been changed, right? The third thing is about creating a culture of inclusion. We do this through many things. We do this through training. We do this through employee resource groups. And we also have taken big steps to launch progressive policies that support our intent of inclusion. I mean, we were one of the first companies to launch equal parental leave of 6 months, right, which went down really well with our employee group. We have medical insurance that, is given irrespective of, the sex of your partner, right? We have, you name it, we have the policies, policies for menopause, for people who've had miscarriages, policies for persons with disabilities, policies for people on the spectrum. And I think that is helping us create that inclusive environment that, we do want to. We do, make ourselves accountable for creating the most diverse and inclusive company there is to be. And the last one, which I think is a bit of a bugbear with me, I hear very often that, that lady is not ready or this person's not ready. But I do think that if we want to make this work, we have to have a very intentional mindset of taking bets on people, right? And actually making sure that we put people there and then we develop them for success. So, I have so many examples of, when I was trying to find a board, I would be told that, oh, but you haven't done board experience before, and you hardly see any women on the board. And my question always is, but if you don't give the woman the first chance, how is she ever going to get there, right? So that's what I mean by this intentional mindset, right? So I think it's worked for us. Our diversity used to be 7.5%. In 2017, it's come to almost 30% now. We have 50-50 representation on our executive committee, which is incredible, I have to tell you, for an Alcobev company. I mean, forget, broader FMCG. But we are very proud of that, but we still feel we've got a long way to go.
Long way to go. Because you mentioned, the intention has to be there. Who took a bet on you, Hina, in your career? Who are those people who, said that, you have it in you and took a bet on you?
Several of them. And I think I had a fantastic mentor at Nestle, first of all. And, he's no longer alive, unfortunately, but I mean, he's the one who one day asked me. I had actually taken a go slow approach when I had my babies. So I had requested for a change in role. The first thing he told me was, what a stupid woman you are. I mean, I never asked you whether you're going to travel, etc. Why are you coming and telling me you want to take this slower course in life? And I said, I can't. I mean, I want to do a fantastic job in the role you've given me, and I can't do it without traveling. So he put me in a slower role. And then about a year later, he met me in the passage and he said, will you stop being an old woman now, or do you want to come back into the real working world? And I said, no, I'm probably ready to come back into the real working world. And he gave me a huge role after that, right? So I have been blessed to have mentors like this who have taken bets on me. And, I think this is the gratitude I've embedded, and therefore I really want to keep passing it on, which is why I have this passion to be able to intentionally, give people opportunities and, take bets on them, right?
Love that. Back to sort of, the position right now that India has as a global leader in various industries. And we were, of course, talking about Viksit Bharat and how your vision aligns with that as well. But if there are certain areas that we need to sort of work more on, certain challenges, what would they be for you?
I'll address this, Delshad, in a way that is a little bit more generic, but also keeping my industry in mind, right? So I think the first area is that infrastructure investment must continue, right? We have progressed. If you look at the World Bank's Logistics Performance Index, I think we have progressed there. But I think there is still need for more investment in, infrastructure, ports, railways, roads. And this can only help us enhance the effectiveness of our supply chain, our logistics, because domestic manufacturing is such a big part of our Viksit Bharat vision, right? So I think continued investments to optimize our supply chains, enhance the quality of what we produce to keep us more and more globally competitive would be one. The second area is really the government has done a lot on ease of doing business, right? So we have in our industry also seen a lot of effort. However, and we know that India remains a top destination for investments. I mean, we are still amongst the top. And for continued capital investment in the country, I do think there is a need for a fresher approach to ease of doing business. There are still many industries where we need streamlining of policies, we need simplification of tax structures. I can tell you our industry really needs it, right? And also policy stability, right, for many of us. I think that if we can keep addressing that, I think that will really help us, right? The third area, and I think this is also very close to our heart in our industry, is the cost of compliance in our country is still quite high, right? So the burden of, regulatory compliance remains quite high. Just to give you an example, we have to re-register our labels every year on every single brand and SKU. And that is a 3 to 4 month process with a huge cost for us, right? So, I mean, if we can have far more easier solutions to address this, and honestly, India has the capability to do this with all the digital advancement that we have made. There is no reason why we can't address this, and quite simply, right? So I would say that these are some of the areas that can help us become better. Yeah.
Hina, one last question for you, and given, before you head off to the new role as well, if you had a message for emerging young leaders, people trying to make their own mark in this India's growth story, what would it be?
Delshad, I would think that the people who are really making a difference to India are the people who dare to think differently and challenge conventions. I mean, we heard about this whole innovation that's happening in our country. So I would say the first thing is that be bold, take risks. I mean, there is a lot of growth to be had out of stepping out of your comfort zone, right? That's the first message. The second message I would give is lead with purpose. The companies and the businesses that are doing really well today and will continue to do well tomorrow are the ones that are not only making financial progress, but are also making lasting impact. And honestly, the new generation of consumers wants that, right? So the people who work for us and the consumers all want that. So, you can align with any mission that, sort of appeals to you, resonates with you, whether it's sustainability, innovation, inclusion, it doesn't matter. Right? The third thing I would say is that it's a very fast-changing world. So investing in yourself for continuous learning and upskilling is an imperative, right? And I think it's very important for leaders to not get absorbed in the daily, operational stuff and forget about themselves, right? And last but not the least, I would say, be authentic. Right? I think people want to see your strengths, and as a leader, they will depend on you to see your strengths and capabilities. But equally, I have learned that showing your vulnerability sometimes really connects very well with people and makes the team far more connected and responsible for performance. So those are my words.
Navri, what was the last thing you upskilled on, Hina?
Last thing I've upskilled?
Yeah.
I'm doing it every day. I mean, AI, digital. I mean, that's an area that I can't learn enough about. I think I'm still very backward on it, so I'm trying to invest some time.
Well, that's a great note to end our conversation on. Thank you so much again, Hina. It's a pleasure chatting with you. That's it for this episode of Media Dialogues with Storyboard 18, but stay tuned for more from the Global Pioneers Summit in the upcoming episodes. Thank you for watching.